Watch the entire video, my lovely viewers, from start to finish, to get the whole thing. Without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Hi lovely viewers, it's me again, your one and only Mutati Mpundu. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button down below. Turn the bell icon to join the notification squad. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you lovely viewers.
Yesterday, I personally drove to the office of the Attorney General of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Mulilo Dimas Gabesha, who is a very dear friend of mine, and I delivered a letter. I delivered this letter to his office. As you can see, it was received officially yesterday, and it's been stamped. In this letter, I have indicated our position as a political party and a member of the Tonse Alliance, our objection and why we reject Bill 10 as issued in Government Gazette Notice 539 of 2025. Let me begin by saying that those of you who have followed my political career will agree with me that over the times I have always been on the side of the Constitution. I have always been on the side of the people of Zambia when the Constitution is threatened or when the Constitution is under attack, such as the case is now. A few opening remarks. Excuse me. The Constitution is the fundamental cornerstone of our nation's laws. Every law, every statutory instrument, every regulation, and every government circular must conform to the Constitution. Every arm of government, be it the executive, the legislature, or the judiciary, is a creation of the Constitution. Every constitutional office holder must therefore swear to defend and protect the Constitution. The Constitution is a breathing institutional organ that belongs to the Zambian people. The importance of a written constitution has been historical. With the introduction of the Bill of Rights after the Magna Carta was fought for by ordinary people fighting the kings and their dictatorial monarchies in Europe in 1215. They fought for the habeas corpus, the right to petition. They have fought this tradition to have a written constitution that will ensure that nobody, no single individual, president, prime minister, or any person will rise up one day waking up from his sleep and begin to tamper with a document which they hold sacred. In historical times, the kings used to wake up anytime, and they, the kings, were the laws. Whatever they said became policy. Whatever they said became the law. The tradition of having a written constitution has always been, since that time, mandated to the people, for the people, by the people. No amendment can be made to our constitution here in Zambia by the executive or the legislature without the consent or the permission or the license of the Zambian people, because it does not belong to the legislature or the executive. The constitution belongs to the Zambian people. Any amendment intended or proposed does not come in the form of a government gazette, such as this one. This is not how we amend the constitution in Zambia. You just don't wake up and pick a cherry like you're at a bride and you decide, this is what I want to change. It doesn't work like that. Any intended amendment of a constitution must always have a procedure. We have precedent in this country, a lot of precedent. In my letter to the Attorney General, who I sat with in the same class as students at the University of Zambia, I have indicated in this 10-page document, trying to explain and remind my good friend, the Attorney General, that we are jurisprudential students of the law. We have a history as to how amendments of the Constitution are done. I have reminded this government, through the Attorney General, that we did have previously the Chona Constitutional Review Commission. We have had the Mwanakatwe Constitutional Review Commission. We have had the Mvunga Constitutional Review Commission, the Mungomba Constitutional Review Commission. We also had, under late President Mwanawasa, the National Constitutional Conference. We also had, under the 6th Republican President, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the National Dialogue Forum. All these speak to precedents. Precedents which the Zambian courts, the Zambian people, and us generally have agreed, this is how we're going to tamper with this sacred document, the Constitution. This is our Constitution. Act number 2 of 2016. Why is this history important? Why are we discussing this? In my letter to the Attorney General, which I delivered yesterday, I asked my learned friend, State Counsel, as leader of the Zambian Bar, a few questions. Question number 1, I asked my friend, why is it that every government since UNIP has always had to go to the Zambian people through broad-based consultations, i.e. constitutional reviews and dialogues, as alluded to above, whenever the constitutional amendments are required or proposed? And in case he failed to answer the question, I answered the question for him. I said, simply put, the issue is one of legitimacy. Every previous government has always understood that amending any part of our constitution requires the Zambian people's approval and involvement for the process and the result to have legal legitimacy. This is because the Constitution is a people's document and cannot be amended without their permission, consent, or consultation. I asked the Attorney General another question. Can a sitting government use its delegated authority and select certain articles of our Constitution for amendment without the approval and involvement of the Zambian people? I answered the question for him, and this was my answer. Simply put, no. While it is agreed and accepted that the executive arm of government may propose new laws and enact them via the legislature, whose duty it is to enact the law, the executive cannot propose or select any articles of the Constitution for amendment without the prior permission of the principal's authority, i.e. the Zambian people. The Constitution is not an ordinary document. It is the Grundnorm. It is a document which gives birth to every law, every statute, every regulation, every circular issued by Cabinet Office. And if any one of those contradicts the Constitution, it is in violation and therefore inconsistent and cannot be upheld. It has been suggested in some quarters of the UPND government, and I think you've heard this from some of their so-called media spin doctors, that the executive, by initiating this current proposal or these current proposed amendments, has broken no law. With respect, theoretically, while it seems valid as an argument, in reality it is not the correct position. These proposed amendments in Bill 7 of 2025 are intended to break the tried and tested traditional law which gives legal legitimacy to the process of constitutional amendments in Zambia. And I shall demonstrate this position now. Anyone who's bothered to read our constitution will see that the sources of law in this country are named. Under Article 7 of the Zambian Constitution, it reads, and I quote, "The laws of Zambia consist of A, this Constitution." It stands alone. This Constitution. 2, B, laws enacted by Parliament. Why is it that the framers of this Constitution put the Constitution alone and put the enactment of laws by Parliament alone? Whenever you're reading a statute and you're interpreting a statute, you must understand that there's a reason why there's a comma or why it is delimited in A, B, C. People are trying to tell you this is different. This is different. This is different. Now, when you've got spin doctors who have been to law school but don't understand the difference between paper law, ukupasa my exams, and trial law, you get a government that is going to be misdirected. There are people who have read the law and they live in theories. We don't live in theories. We live in the real world. Reality tells us that the amendment of the Constitution is different. C, statutory instruments. That's another form of law. D, and this is where I come in. D, Zambian customary law, which is consistent with this Constitution. This tradition, this custom, is how we have chosen to amend the Constitution. I have watched clips, someone telling the Zambian public, no, we have broken no law. You're breaking this tradition. I am showing you now, you're breaking this tradition. Article 7D, this Zambian custom, which tells us the Chona Commission, Mwanakatwa Commission, Mungomba Commission, Mvunga Commission, the NCC, and the National Dialogue Forum. That is how our tradition has evolved. Whenever we want to touch the Constitution, we go back to the people. We just don't wake up. The moment we, as a people, allow any government to do what this government wants to do under this government gazette, we are creating a dictator. We are killing democracy. Slowly they are chipping off, and you are watching. My fellow Zambians, the UPND's intention here is to kill democracy. The UPND's intention is to introduce laws which they will say, we have now set a precedent. Be careful when you set a precedent. Be very careful when you set a precedent. We have a tried and tested custom, a tradition, a way which is accepted by the Zambians as to how we touch, tamper with this document. In the absence of this tradition, there can be no amendment. I ask my good friend the president, which commission did you set up for these proposed amendments? Name the commission. Who was the chairperson? Because every commission is named by the chairperson. That's why I've been quoting Chona Commission. It was Mainza Shona. John Mwanakatwe. It was Mwanakatwe. The Mwomba Commission. We know. Professor Mvunga. We know. This one. Which legal minds sat, went round the country, province by province, if possible district by district, to go and speak to Zambians to come up with this? Nobody. Article 7, subclause D. This custom is being breached by this government. Must I remind Aga in the Ichilem? He stood in Heroes Stadium and swore to the Zambians that he shall uphold, protect, and defend this constitution. And I'm telling him, you are breaching the constitution, Mr. President. This is what I was telling my friend, the Attorney General, in my letter yesterday. I wrote a letter to remind him, this is wrong. So when these spin doctors of the UPND tell you we have breached no law, this law has been breached by this gazette. This gazette must be withdrawn. This gazette must be rejected by all well-meaning Zambians. We don't want to set this precedent. Because if we set this precedent, what other laws are they going to propose to change? If they wake up tomorrow and issue another gazette notice and say we don't need the office of the Chief Justice, what are you going to do? Because the Chief Justice is a constitutional office holder set up in this constitution. If they wake up and tell you we don't need the office of judges, what are you going to do? Buy a gazette notice without consulting the people? If they wake up tomorrow and issue another gazette notice and say no, in fact we have been very lenient, we don't need 50+1 for a government to be in office or a president to be elected, they'll be chipping off using these gazettes, and you'll be saying no, but we have broken no law. Let us teach and pronounce principles and doctrines of the law in practice, not in theories. Just because you're a media director of the UPND, you go on TV and you begin to wash people with stories. Go and ask Max Mue, which court has he ever stood in? What case has he won? Which magistrate has he argued before? Which judge has he appeared before? Which court? Do they even know him? There's a difference between paper law and trial law. We've been doing this over 35+ years, some of us. You come here just because you get a degree, and you go and start misleading my friend and saying, no, the president, we have broken no law. What nonsense. Wake up. Let me sound a warning. to people like Max Sumui and those that think like him. You've got 1 year to go. And if you're going to be an accomplice to inequality, we shall come after you. Because kukutumpa. Kutumpoko. Who do you think you are? Why are you a degree kobioko? We see all the Zambians that this is the law. This is the law. Which law you? I take on your son Max Mwe. We're not playing here. This is a country, man. We're not here to play games. I told the Attorney General in my letter that we as a nation have long accepted this tradition, which I've just pronounced here, as the only legitimate process to initiate or commence constitutional amendments. In Kasu, in this particular case, the legal tradition is the Zambian people's shield against any government setting political bad precedent in amending our constitution without their consent. Truth be told, the current widespread objections by our people to Bill 10 of 2025 is not intended to take away National Assembly's legislative functions. No. But rather to give the process legitimacy and acceptability. Why is this acceptability important? It is important because the document would have come from the Zambian people themselves, not superimposed. This Bill 7 of 2025 is a superimposition on the Zambian people by the executive government. We can't allow this. The other reason why the majority Zambians, like ourselves, object to these proposed amendments is the lack of trust. Now please listen to that word. The lack of trust in the president personally and the UPND government in general. The Republican president, who is my friend and also a friend of the Attorney General, we're in the same stream on campus, remember that, has broken so many campaign promises that today the Zambian people cannot trust his government's intentions, more so over this constitution. Allow me a little bit of a sidebar here. The honest truth is the majority, normal thinking Zambians do not trust Hakainde Hichilema today because he has betrayed them. Now what more when he tries to touch the constitution? Are you going to trust him? Mwewena Zambia. Are we going to sit idly by and watch this guy change the rules of engagement when we have already agreed on the rules of engagement? Consult us first before you touch the constitution. He comes up and says, we are not going to consult you. We're just going to use a gazette notice. How do you expect these same people, our Zambian people, to trust the proposed amendments here when they have seen that this government cannot be trusted even on the economy? In my letter, I have said to the Attorney General, sir, Zambians are skeptical because they see the UPND government trying to use their arrogance of numbers in the National Assembly so as to pass these constitutional amendments, and eventually by that precedent will continue until a dictatorship is created in this country. Let us not gloss over this issue. The UPND government is testing the waters. The fact that Zambian people do not trust their current president to keep his word or any promise is enough reason for your office to advise the government to reconsider and withdraw Bill 7 of 2025. Lastly, on this point of adopting the correct process and procedure, our humble opinion is that let the government take a step back. Begin by setting up a legal framework, a process by which they can begin to engage the Zambian people. Allow the Zambian people their say. Who knows, I have said, maybe other articles may also need a relook. Come up with a blueprint, a white paper, report that to cabinet. Let cabinet then bring a bill and take it to the National Assembly and say, this is what the Zambian people want. By this, the Zambian people would have been consulted, the process would be legit, and eventually their views would be taken on board. The UPND executive lacks the people's trust and the legitimacy to initiate Bill 7 because there's been no consultation. I want to say that this letter is quite long. We distributed it to the major networks yesterday, but we also gave it to all the embassies accredited to Zambia. We gave it to the American Embassy, the British Embassy, the European Union, the SADC, and we have also given it to other political parties. Why is this important for us politically? The UPND leaders have demonstrated to us as a people a high level of greed, corruption, nepotism, and new means of exploiting the Zambian people. What we are now experiencing are the consequences of the worst human rights violation. People are sleeping hungry in this country. People are going 1 meal per day. We have seen self-enrichment come to play far much worse than we've seen before. We have seen neglect of the highest order. We have seen political immorality, poor governance, questionable executive conduct. We have seen lying and cheating at the highest order, highest level, by a president. We have seen the abuse of government resources and the ugly head of tribalism begin to take root in this country. We can't stand for this. Some of you have been interviewing me, and most of you have asked this question. You are part of the UPND alliance. Why did you leave? No, maybe you are frustrated. You can't see why I left. Lesanga ali kupere chimonwa kuti wamona ti umuntu kotuleya kukabefya bupuga kuti wamona at somewhere along the line this person will come and betray the Zambian people. You can see when I tell you this guy is my friend, I know him. Nani mwishiwa mushakuna ngole yangala nomno bitakwa okustadana takwa bokuishiwa. When I say he's my friend, people say, no, but he's not your friend. You insult him. No, I don't insult him. I call a spade a spade. And that's why I call him a liar. Mukamo ipushe. Nimi mwari poso tuma klipu nena required. Utu wabu fi. Mukamo ipushe. You want me to be part of those lies? Let's be real. The problem with we Zambians most of the time is that we don't want to stand for the truth. Some of us are willing to be sacrificed for the truth. So that tomorrow, no, but KBF adilandire. So when you ask me, why did you leave? This is why I left. I could see. The moment Aga Indeichilema called me to State House and told me, collapse, Zambia must prosper into UPND, I realized this chap is power hungry. Now you can see. You see, there's a difference between people who take over governments by coups, okay, and people who take over governments using the law. It is the same thing. They just use different processes. This guy is trying to use the law to create a dictatorship. And we are watching. Because tomorrow he's going to say, that's what the law says. You tell me if you can't see it. I'll educate you. This whole thing we're discussing here, under Bill 7, these proposed amendments of the Constitution, trust me, it's a well-calculated scheme. It is tied in with the cyber laws which he has introduced. It's not in isolation. Read the mind. Look, the laying down of all these fundamental laws is to make sure that you people have no say. When you try to say something, he will say you've broken this law. Oh, you are transmitting this to your friend. We shall enter your phone. Today they are trying to set up, using Zikta, instruments when they can bug your phone. So you as journalists, don't call me. Come here to my office. We shall talk face to face. I won't answer your phone. Because tomorrow they'll tell you seditious this, seditious that. How many people have been arrested and convicted on seditious? Haka in the Ichilema used to have press briefs at his community house every day. He called the former president, Edgar Chagwa, all sorts of names. Was he ever arrested? He was allowed to speak. In the United States of America, that's the First Amendment. Free speech. You cannot take away the freedom of speech from a people and you expect them to participate in government affairs. So he has told you, I have shut you up. I'm going to superimpose my thinking and my laws on you, and you just have to accept. I'm going to take this to Parliament, and I'm going to use Parliament's numbers to pass this law. Mwana, you've got another thing coming. Let me tell you the plan now. This is the reverse plan from Zambia Must Prosper and the Tonse Alliance. We, as I've told the Attorney General here, have given him 14 days to remove this from the public domain and ensure that it doesn't visit Parliament. We have issued this warning and we have issued this timer. After 14 days, if the Attorney General does not respond favorably, we are going to take up legal action. Phase 1. We shall go to court. We shall put the Zambian courts on trial. Let the Zambian courts agree with the executive if they want and be against the people. If they make any funny rulings from there and accept and agree with government, phase 2, there shall be peaceful demonstrations. We shall picket the streets and we shall also picket Parliament so that we know they are not going to pass that law. If they overcome us there, phase 3, we are going to mobilize the Zambian people and ensure that we vote this government out of power. But this is what happens after phase 3. If all these avenues fail, after phase 3 we get power. We are going to ensure that anybody who was part of the voting in Parliament, part of the lawmaking in courts, we shall follow you. I think we are warning each other in advance. We are trying to be peaceful and reasonable people here. But if all measures fail, I think there must be an end to this nonsense. Leave the Constitution. We are not saying you can't amend the Constitution. Legitimacy, precedents, follow the tradition, follow the custom. This has not been followed here. I have told the Attorney General that democracy is not and has never been a smooth and frictionless journey. For this reason, we invite you to adopt the sociological school of thoughts thinking in accepting that law must be the engine of societal change by adopting and embarking on society's morals and accepting the values and ethics of that society. The only way that the law embraces societal values is by broad-based consultation of the people by those who are given power. This, the UPND government has not done with regard to these intended constitutional amendments. And because society is dynamic, the UPND government cannot argue that the Zambian people were already consulted by the previous government. Circumstances have changed. The population has changed. There is need for fresh consultation. Without that, the process is dead before it begins. Having studied Bill 7 rather, we have arrived at the inescapable view that the intended constitutional amendments lack merit and or justification. The amendments are meant to hide the UPND's real motives, which are more political than legal. This, in our view, could be a hidden avenue for election rigging. I'm accusing the UPND, I'm accusing Hakainde Hichilema and his government that this Bill 10, the cyber laws, and all the laws they've enacted so far are meant to rig elections. That's the only reason they're in a hurry. That's the only reason they are going to ignore all other economic factors. The Resident Doctors Association have said we are going to withdraw labor. We can't have doctors volunteering for 2 years, giving free services, curing people. They're not being paid. Fivombelo, they are tools. And this government wants to ignore the fact that this chap has been to school for 7 years. Some of them have even got master's degrees. You don't want to employ them, but you want to go and employ more politicians. What nonsense. You want to employ more politicians to do what?
Just to scream, yeah.
Are we being real? This is not even about me. It's about you, the Zambian people. We are for the youths, but not in this manner. Let's not be hoodwinked. The problem we have with Hakainde Hichilema is he thinks he knows it all. Amona kwa chali changela sana. I keep reminding my friend, wo inena kuri kopa beo, tuli wakopala ka. Ero kopala tatuseka. Frank talk does not break friendship. Pukwe vela pofie. Ivivi ya kubauleke. Chapwa, efu tuwale chitakubwa iche. Ngata uchitire ife tule kufuita. Tawakula angala na ifu. And here, as the Zambians, we are saying tuwala kufuita. Muna 2026 tule kufuitwa iwe.
Yes.
Tatuwakula angala na iwe yo. Because ule angala kumwe uwesu. We are not against more women representation. We are not against more youths being represented in parliament. But this government does not have the money for this kind of expenditure. If you can't pay your doctors, if you can't subsidize your food, your meal for the poor Zambians, if you can't improve your infrastructure in terms of road network, if you can't improve and reduce your load shedding, why are you going to pass more money to politicians? Does that make sense? Zambia, take my hand, let's walk through the corridors of justice. Is this fair? There is no right-thinking Zambian who agrees with Hakainde Hichilema and his UPND government on this issue. None. It is just these praise singers with small degrees flying around and saying, we are also lawyers, we are also lawyers. Some of them I want to wonder, which universities did you go to? Did you really sit behind the desk? Did you understand the doctrines and principles of law as they were taught? and the meaning of those principles with regard to real society, in the real world, not in the theoretical world of impressing a leader. These are the kind of people who create dictators. Then tomorrow, I say, but if in Shafi Mwin, Upuba, Patamano. So we are saying the economy does not support these proposed amendments. We can't go on, Zambians. This letter is in the hands of the Attorney General. I'll give him enough time. I don't want to discuss it publicly too much because I want to give him a benefit of doubt. He's a friend. I trust him. And I know that he's going to have a rethink. And I hope he's going to advise. He's the chief advisor to this government. He sits in cabinet. And I hope you'll see my sense. The point we are driving at is this. Once we allow this bad precedent to be set by the UPND, there will be no stopping them in whatever they will propose next. This Gazette notice, which introduced Bill 7, may also affect other areas of government in the future. Let me conclude by saying this. Let us not be part of this scam as Zambians. Let us reject Bill 7 before it even begins. Let us not enable the UPND in its quest to create a dictatorship. Let us not allow democracy to be slaughtered at the altar of political survival. The reason for Bill 7 is that Hakainde is fighting for his political survival. Suddenly he has realized 4 years now ipita. Abashara kamwaka. Awena Zambia na baboila. So no man alaiteshani. You wasted your time sending people to jail. You wasted your time prosecuting politicians. Why Saro Shakunuma, there's nothing you've done. Aba ichewale imba tsontopo wabomba. Epo tuafika nomba. Tsontawo itukumone. Walole shatawishi bya pakwikata. Watampa fi Bill 7 tuakana. Legal dictators do not use guns. They use the law. This is what Hakainde wants to do. And if we allow him to do this, there will be worse things to come for you as Zambians. As civilized society, let us stand on our core morals, our values, our ethics, and our tradition. We only amend the Zambian constitution when the Zambian people have been consulted, engaged, aired their views, and then those views are embraced in a document which goes before Parliament. That is our tradition. And if you don't want to respect that tradition, unfortunately, we shall not accept your Bill 7. Thank you. I hope this has been helpful. Questions, please.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard directly from the President. You've heard his position, and the position of Zambia must prosper. You've heard some of the contents of the letter he has written to the Attorney General. You've heard him speak directly to the President of the Republic of Zambia, that's President Hakainde Hichilema. And you've also heard him address directly the Zambian people. So we hope now that you, as the media houses, may speak on behalf of the Zambian people and put forward some questions that can be answered for clarity for some of the issues that may not have been clarified. Please, let's have some order, as I've mentioned. Please, if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and you shall be given the floor. Anyone interested in a question at the moment? May I take 3 hands raised before we proceed to ask those questions? Okay, 1, 2. Another person? All right, we'll take those first 2 questions for now. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you so very much, Council, for this insightful brief that you've given to us.
Your name?
Alfonso, coming from the heart world of 5FM Radio.
5FM.
Yes. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Indeed, you have cited the recent introduced laws or enacted laws, as well as Bill 7 that intended to rig the 2026 elections. I just want to find out from you, are you able to be categorical how these laws will be used to rig the elections? Thank you.
You mean the cyber? Which laws are you referring to?
You said the cyber law and
Yes.
other recent
Uh-huh.
enacted laws. If I quoted you right,
Yes.
Mr. President, which I did.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Please, the other gentleman, please kindly introduce yourself and the media house you're representing.
All right, thank you. My name is Best Jerry from Diamond TV. I just needed a clarification on the number of days you have given.
Your neighbor. Speak up, I can't hear you.
My name is Best Jerry from Diamond TV. Mine is just to get a clarification on the number of days you have given the UPND administration to remove the draft bill from the public domain.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll start with your question because it's much simpler. We have given the Attorney General and through him the government of UPND 14 days from yesterday when they received this document to have Bill 10 removed from public domain. Bill 7 of 2020. You know, these bills. Bill 7 from the public domain, and also not to make sure that it doesn't grace the flow of Parliament. 14 days. Let me come back to Alfonso. Alfonso, I have been running political elections for politicians since 2006. I have been involved with the late Michael Chulufiasata and the PF 2006, 2008 elections, 2011 elections, 2015 elections, 2016 elections. I was not there in 2021. I don't know what happened. Rigging of elections is a process. It's not an event. It doesn't just happen on the day of elections. No. Anyone who has run elections will tell you that when you look at the actions of a government in power, you begin to see them doing certain acts and certain things. In this particular instance, enacting certain laws. They are preparing the ground. What does the cyber law say, for example, about communication? What does it say about you sending information which they say is seditious or is hate speech or whatever? They are basically saying during this period of campaigns leading up to the election time, we don't want you communicating with each other. When you see something or when you hear something, you can't tell me or I can't tell you. They're trying to instill fear in the electorate. One, they're trying to intimidate the electorate. You've heard people now saying, oi, they think to me a message. Why? Fear. Now, if the youths, the women, and yourselves as journalists are being scared, intimidated to communicate freely, what will happen during elections? For example, today, if one of the UPND ministers is accused of corruption and he goes for an interview to DEC or ACC, you post, such and such a minister has been cited for corruption and is being called to Shanshan, they'll visit you. Why? You shouldn't publish that. When you're being suppressed, as a people, you must be very careful. What is the intention? And that's the problem. When I say I know the mind of my friend, Narimwishima, he's power hungry. He's doing all this as a setup so that eventually no one will be able to talk to each other. You will just be hearing things happening. You can see here. Here, there are many of you. I was told by my protocol officer that according to her, she has listed about 32 of you here as media personnel. Where's the national broadcaster? I'm asking again, don't look at me, look at yourselves. Where is the national broadcaster? Why are they not here? My point. In a democracy, every politician must be given free access to the press. Not just the private, the public media. This was one of the major cries of Hakainde Hichilema in opposition. Why isn't he giving us that access? He knows. So when you ask me how all this is leading up to rigging, I'm telling you now, it's a system they have put in place. They've let it run and they're watching it roll out. But you must stop it. If you don't stop it by speaking out, if you don't stop it by going on the streets, if you don't stop it by telling them, if you win round one, when we flip this, we shall come after you. They won't get it. Me, I don't want to beat around the bush. I like agreeing. I like warning people before I do something. And I'm warning. I have warned people here and I've warned people before. Look, ministers of UPND, the members of parliament of UPND, and any politician, properly so called, you are not immune to prosecution. Let me tell you that. And superior orders are not a defense to a criminal act. No, they're not. So if you do something wrong, we shall come after you. The only person immune and protected is the president. So if the president is using you and you fall into that trap, we shall come after you. We shall leave him alone. He's immune. Akasa misambila mo uli ana limwisho aka misambila mo kwa nifida fine pilato fyo mtuntu nena sambam aka mibutuka udia. I am telling you, if you don't know him, I'm telling you now, he's going to ask you, did I tell you to do that? But he's the one telling you today. Let me remind senior lawyers within UPND, if they still want us to respect them as members of the bar, the Honorable Jack Mpundu, State Council, Minister of Home Affairs, there are clips of you when you are in opposition, Mpundu, fighting for the Zambians. When Bill 10 was in the process, you were saying, no, you're on the side of the people. Constitution cannot be amended without their consultation. Constitution cannot be amended without their engagement. You wanted the process to go back to the people. What has changed today by Jack Mpundu? What has changed? Because I call for Mukaikuta? Let's not be those kind of politicians, man. Be principled. If you want me to respect you, Jack Mpundu, behave. That's the kind of warning I'm giving. Because I'm going to play that clip. I'm going to say, did you say this, Jack? Yes. So why did you flip here and go and vote for Bill 7? If he's not going to have an answer, he's going to jail. Because you can't be inflicting this kind of pain on the Zambians. Zambians are suffering. I'm not singling out the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs for any reason, but because he's a fellow lawyer. I expect principle. I have said the history of me and the Constitution will bear me testimony. Even at the point of me being expelled from PF, it was because I said the Constitution were nay. No. You know my history. Don't pretend you know. Because you Zambians don't want to tell the truth. Stick to the truth. And the truth shall Tain in Deland. Chipingo. And we are Christians here. So when you stand on the truth, I don't have to no, because I said the truth. My position is the same. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow on the Constitution. So let's not beat around the bush. If Jack Mwimbo meant what he said when he was arguing for the Zambian people against Bill 10, and when they went to dance at Community House, when they succeeded, that Bill 10 had fallen, let him show that same commitment. If he's not happy, let him resign. I'll respect him. Out of principle. If he can't resign, then he's living for his tummy. I have no respect for such people. I'm sorry about Jack. So this rigging process, Alfonso, is a process. See the interconnectivity in the laws, and you will see where this is leading. And you will understand that when a government in power realizes in my elections, they begin to change the rules. But here's an old phrase I read some time ago. You don't change horses in midstream. So you don't change the rules in midstream. No. We are running this 5-year course. We can't change now. The other thing also with this proposed Bill 7 amendment is we don't have the time. Apart from the resources, we don't have the time. What the UPND government has done, and this, sometimes, but my friend has got a system all the time. He'll throw 3 grenades here. Idiramuashala muchusha hapa. Na utukalia po. So ngatamumu ikete palia. Apami fulunga nyafe. Let me explain. There will be so many by-elections. Lumezi, Mfuwe, Tuawadi, Chan. Imamula yakutu nono. That's not what he's interested in. He's looking at the bigger prize. He's 10 steps ahead. Mwela mfwe chushi hapa mle nushe chushi. Inemfo kumu pepeka. I don't look at this thing. Mpepeka fe udia wine. Pani nshona kweti uji. Udia wine udia. Waku pepeka udia wine. Elo tanshe mulu ina leo 200 meters aka. Nga mupitile fiatu fa. Akadawe no kudawe. Chidachi ne chipuna enda nacho akasaka fe ninjikala kwa. Nati nifika boy finshi ule fwa. Na bola yapo. Mwewe na Zambia. Let us be serious. This is a serious matter, but I'm trying to be comical because sometimes I want to were too serious. But muli comedy walong. Next question.
Okay. I think we've heard from a lot of gentlemen. Let's hear from the ladies first. Please introduce yourself, the media house you're representing, then the lady over there, and the gentleman at the back.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, Mom.
My name is Tawu from Central Voice TV.
Huh?
Harvard.
Not Kawan.
No.
Oh, you're welcome, my sister.
Thank you. I'm from Central Voice TV. My question is that you've given the UPND government to the Attorney General 14 days for them to withdraw the proposed Bill 7 out of the public domain. Then you also said, failure to that, you've aligned some plans that you are going to take action.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the last one,
Yes.
of which you mentioned that if failure to that, you're going to mobilize the citizens, right?
Yes.
Yes. Don't you think those are seditious remarks and the law can come after it?
Let them come. Let them come. What is seditious about giving a warning? As a friend, I am warning. I am allowed to think. I am allowed to have an opinion. There's nothing seditious about that. If that's the way you define seditious, please let them come and arrest me today. I'm not scared of them. But this is the mentality we don't want. Where every Zambian must be intimidated, he can't speak his mind. What nonsense is this? No. Muchalo chesu. What did our forefathers fight for? Ubuntungwa. Ama isosele. Now I can't speak. If I feel angry, I should tell you I am angry. I shouldn't pretend. That's why there's the reports are telling us 240 Zambians are being diagnosed with madness, insanity of sorts. And you don't need duku ya mugaraji, you could tell mfiso zoku mad. Sometimes you might end up in my street home. Sometimes I'm driving with my ADC and he tells me, Boss Namon, I see people talking to themselves. They're not praying. That's the level you've driven the Zambians to. I am not going to be driven to that level. Inenga chankaripa. I've been taught, speak your mind. I grew up in a political home. My father was a politician, and he always said, "Mwana wandina, no is a word. If you have to say no, say no." And palichi, we are saying no. There's nothing seditious about what I've said. I am just telling the people in power, we have also got power with the people. And we can use it. So if we mobilize and go on the streets, we have the right to protest. In a democratic state, the right to protest cannot be taken away from the people. Well, that can't happen. No. Nshafweni mfimbirwa. Kwati mwana kashuwi imite ifumota lifialo. We. Even a woman has got a gestation period. It's 9 months. For a chicken, it's 21 days. For an elephant, it was 22 months. Right, fundile fe 12 fish. So umuntu esathiwe bataka ukufiyalo. Kulanda ufile wapema. Ufile walanda. So I am saying to the UPND government, those are the steps. We shall go to court if they fail to do what I've said. 2, very clear. We shall protest. 3, in case the year ends and we go into next year, when we get power, it's a friendly warning. We shall come after you. There's nothing seditious about that. Nothing. I've broken no law. If your defines seditious, please. Funyenponachi constitution, then we don't deserve to be a democracy. That's not how we're going to live. So imumunganda batawe bamwa Ivandro na barume na boyfriend takwa bokalipanishi seditious. Awe imwe ni mona imwe yangu. Tukani okulanda seditious. Tell you.
Yes, please. Your name and your media house you're representing.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, ma'am.
My name is Jesse Boya. I write for Vanda, Zambia.
Rani? Muliwa machina? Yangu. But we're not related.
No.
Upper Dennis, we were related that they are warming up a prayer, but no relationship. So I want that to go on record. We are not related. It's just the name. Tefio, confirm that. Please go ahead, Kanchi.
Is it true that you've been appointed as a flag bearer for the Tonse Alliance ahead of the 2026 elections?
What?
I'll clarify on that one, please. Let's stick to the issues that we discussed in the first conference. We will not deviate to questions beyond that.
Flag bearer, friendship.
Please, can you rephrase that question or?
But what the question in perfect.
Yes, but I was saying.
What does flag bearer mean first?
I think the aspiring candidate for the Tonse Alliance ahead of the election. I guess
The
one
to take over from Lumbu. He knows the meaning of flag bearer. He's a lawyer.
How Mwindetere na papa.
It's actually on social media, so we just wanted to clarify.
Yes, seditious. The Tonse Alliance has not yet sat to confirm who their flag bearer will be. Is that the term? Flag bearer? Yeah. All of us in the Council of Leaders have an equal chance to lead the Tonse Alliance. All of us. And we shall sit at the appropriate time in consultation with our chairperson, the former president of this country, the 6th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, and decide who the leader will be. When that time comes, you, the media, will be the first to know. I am not aware of this. We are just all the same and we are equal on the table for now.
We'll let that one slide because we were machine. Otherwise, please, we request that you kindly stick to the topic at hand. Right? Let's not deviate beyond discussing the constitutional amendments and the response the president has given. Thank you.
Next question. Ramoi Kutatini.
There was a gentleman at the back there who had requested for the floor. Same question.
No.
No.
Different. Good morning, Council.
Morning.
My name is Chandamango from Camnet TV. Just want to find out.
Camnet.
Yes.
Kulishan kuliwatari.
Kulifiwi.
Mama evalishani.
Kulifiwi.
Tatotel.
Yeah, quite. How does it make you feel that despite the heavy criticism that the UPND has faced on its agenda to amend the constitution, it doesn't seem to be holding back?
That's a very important question. It makes me feel very sad that we don't have a listening government. This is why in my last segment of answers, I referred to Honorable State Counsel Jack Mwimbo, Minister of Home Affairs. You see, as politicians, we must learn to be consistent. And when we say we are standing with the people, we must genuinely mean we are standing with the Zambian people. It is very disturbing to find that you have a government in power which is insensitive, such as the UPND government. That breaks my heart. Honestly and truthfully, that hurts me. But I'll go back to the first segment I gave. You people, you've always asked me, why did you leave the alliance? Now you can see why I left. Ubuntu nsembuli ba UPND tamwaba. I cannot be part of that. Some of us had parents. Yes, ndi mwana wa nshiwa pano, but we were raised. We had parents that put things here. What's right, what's wrong. What's correct, what's not. We grew up with morals. I'm not saying I'm an angel. Ndalufianya. But when it comes to fiaveni, fireke. And the constitution, chano chaveni, chichireke. Wikatako. And that's why I push. Walomba, can I do this? So, what hurts me is this lack of sensitivity, this lack of care. In that clip that I watched Honorable Jack Mwimbo speak, he used very important, touching words. And he said, as a caring opposition, that time, we'll stand with the people. Here's Bill 7. I'm asking again, Honorable Jack Mwimbo, are you standing with the people still? Might I remind you that the process that the PF was using, the National Dialogue Forum, was even more legit than this. Because they had created a legal framework within which that amendment was going to be used or made. This one has no legal framework. It just dropped from heaven. You ask questions. Bachand, when you go and interview these people, ask them. These articles you proposed for amendment here, who came up with them? Who chose them? Why not others? Why these particular ones? You can see that all these, going back to Alfonso's question, all these are targeting elections. You don't need to be a scientist to see that. No, delimitation relates to elections. Increasing this, it relates to elections. Power. More power to the president to nominate more people who can support him so that he stays in power. All this is intended for his stay in power. That's why I'm telling you, if you read this as much as I have, all this is rigging. It's a process, it has started. And we will not allow it. So that's my worry. I hope I've answered your question.
All right. Any more questions? We can take maybe one or two more questions before we call it.
No.
I believe you've gotten enough information. You understand the positions ZMP has taken, of course in support with our colleagues from the Council Alliance. And we shall invite you further again for another press briefing so we can update you on the steps taken. Thank you very much and God bless you. At this point, we would like to just stand up once again for a closing prayer and national anthem. Then we may end. Any volunteers to pray? Okay, may we start with the national anthem first, please?
And then sing out
Zambia, proud and free.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Alright, that's all for you today, lovely viewers. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about the video you just watched in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you, lovely viewers. Once again, I go by the name of Mutati Mpundu. I love you, peace, I gotta go.